Shabbat Shalom. It's first light, one of my favorite times of the day, and it connects to our theme for services this evening. This week's Torah portion tells us about Joseph and his dreams. When we think of the dreams that we have, we think of our dreams for this new secular year that's almost upon us. And most of all, I know we're all dreaming of a return to some type of normalcy. We're dreaming of health and well-being for our families. We're dreaming of a brighter tomorrow. Shabbat is an opportunity to reflect on what that might look like and to think about how we can bring these dreams to reality. Shabbat Shalom.
לכו נרננה על אדוני, נריה לצור אישנו. לכו נרננה על אדוני, נריה לצור אישנו. נקד בפניו בתודה. Lai 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 bizmirot naria lo bizmirot naria lo lechu neranena al Adonai naria betzur isheinu lechu neranena al Adonai naria betzur isheinu.
We welcome Shabbat by lighting our Sabbath candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel
Jewish life is built on dreams. From the stories we tell in the Bible to the dreams we've carried throughout history. Dreams of peace, dreams for the next generations, and for thousands of years, our people carried dreams of Jerusalem. In the 16th century, Rabbi Shlomo Alkabetz, the mystic, the Kabbalist, wrote the poem and the song Lecha Dodi. He forever linked a song welcoming Shabbat with a vision for peace, a hope for the restoration of Jerusalem. He wrote these words: Royal shrine, city of kings, rise up and leave your ravaged state. You have dwelt long enough in the valley of tears. Now God will shower mercy on you. And he wrote, an end to the shame and degradation. Forget your sorrow, quiet your groans. The afflicted of my people can find respite in you, the city renewed upon its ancient ruins. We don't need to sing those words because we can walk the streets and study and pray and live our lives in Jerusalem. But now we dream of a holy city fulfilling its long sought after mission, that it may one day truly become a light of peaceful coexistence, a light of Jewish wisdom, a radiant light of hope and peace. Ir Shalem, Yerushalayim, a city of fullness, a city of peace, shining its light throughout the world. Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem ultiferet v'lithilah. Lecha נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם ניסוחה סוף מעשה ומחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה
Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Baruchu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amecha Havta Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta, anakein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochveinu ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם ולילה כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל Amen.
The watchword of the Jewish faith begins with a command to listen, and only then to understand. For understanding comes neither from intellect nor conviction. It comes from opening our minds and our hearts to what's possible. Only then may we understand, because only then can we dream.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Mahon Tov, Le'olam Va'ed.
Bichamocha ba'elim Adonai, Bikamocha nedar b'kodesh, Bichamocha ba'elim Adonai, Bikamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot o sefelet. Nora tehilot o sefelet. Malechutecha ra'uvanecha. Bokei ayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam ze'eli anu ve'ameru. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Yailai, 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 yailai. Yailai, 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 yailai. V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov uge'alo mi'ad hazak mimenu. Baruch ata Adonai ga'al Yisrael.
One of the ways to say goodnight in Hebrew is to say Chalamot Paz. May you have peaceful dreams or dreams of peace. So too is the blessing and the prayer of Hashkivenu, that we lie down in peace, that we find peaceful rest that reinvigorates us and re-energizes us. So we wake up refreshed and renewed for tomorrow and the day after that. We continue with Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, leshalom. Ve'ha'amidenu, malkeinu, lechaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, v'takneinu be'etza tova milfanecha, ve'hoshienu leman shemecha, ve'hoshienu ve'agein badeinu. Ve'aser me'alenu oyev, dever ve'cherev, ve'ra ve'yagon. Ve'aser Satan milfaneinu, ume'achareinu. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, leshalom. Ve'ha'amidenu, malkeinu, lechaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, v'takneinu be'etza tova milfanecha, ve'hoshienu leman shemecha, ve'hoshienu ve'agein badeinu. Uvetzel kenafecha tastirenu, ki el shomreinu umatzilenu, ata ki el melech hanun, hanun, verachum ata. Ushemor tzeiteinu uvoeinu lechaim uleshalom. Ushmor tzeiteinu uvoeinu me'ata ve'ad olam. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, baruch ata Adonai. Haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim. Ushmor tzeiteinu voeinu me'ata ve'ad olam.
Our prayer for healing, Misha Berach, is a prayer for all of our loved ones, friends and neighbors, members of our community who are in need of healing of mind and body and spirit.
Mi Sheberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
The Amidah is your moment of silence. The music plays, the words scroll by on the screen. In a way, it's a time for dreaming. What is prayer if not the stuff of dreams? Prayers lead us to craft a world that can yet be. They connect, through their words, the past, the present, the future. We carry the past in ancient words that we know have been recited for generations by our ancestors. We embrace the present with words that bring us comfort and peace in our lives, right here, right now. And also in our prayers, we imagine a future. A world made stronger by those who live the values that are written into these classic, these timeless words. Take a moment to shut out the noise of the world, to embrace this moment of prayerful contemplation, to dare and dream of a world that can yet be. Please take a few moments for the Amidah.
Before liberty was an idea, or statehood was a thought, our ancestors dreamed a dream in which justice would well up like waters, righteousness like a mighty stream, in which each of us would sit under our own vine and fig tree, with no one to make us afraid, in which the wolf would lie down with the lamb, the leopard with the goat, the calf, the carnivore, and the sow together, with a little child to lead them. This dream is no simple fantasy. It's the essence of our faith, a gift given to us and a gift that we've shared with the world. It's what keeps us going 2,500 years later. It's the dream of peace.
Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael amecha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael יברך את עמו ישראל בשלום, בשלום. שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך. שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך. עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך. עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך.
As our country prepares itself for the next administration and anticipates the next 4 years of hope and prosperity, we offer these words. Our God and God of our ancestors, we ask your blessing for this country, to bring peace and harmony to all its inhabitants, to instill in its people and in its leaders the recognition that we are all created in your image, to, in this recognition, treat all people with loving kindness, compassion, dignity, and respect. May it be your will that this country prosper materially and spiritually. May it be a loving and welcoming place of hope, opportunity, kindness, and success to the Jewish community, to immigrants, to refugees, to racial minorities, and to all who are marginalized. May it be a place of harmony, freedom, and peace. May it be a place of good health and long life. May it advance the cause of peace, bringing us closer to the words of the prophet Isaiah. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, nor will they experience war anymore. So may it be your will, and let us say, Amen.
Avinu שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו, ברך את מדינת ישראל, ראשית צמיחת גאולתנו. Strengthen the hand of those who defend our holy land. Avinu shebashamayim, deliver them and crown their efforts with triumph. Avinu shebashamayim, Tzur Yisrael vekohalo. Bless our land with peace, O God, and its inhabitants with lasting joy. And let us say, Amen, Amen. Avinu shebashamayim, Tzur Yisrael vegoalo, barech et medinat Yisrael, Reshit tzmiachat geulateinu. V'nomar Amen, v'nomar Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We hope you had a wonderful Hanukkah. This evening, I'm in conversation with Rabbi David Woznicka. And as we were preparing for this evening, we talked a little bit about the connection between this text that Rabbi Woznicka is going to bring to us and the end of the secular year. So, David, maybe say a word or two about that connection and share this text that's inspiring you tonight.
Sure, be happy to. Thank you, Rabbi Yoshi, and Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Well, I'm inspired by this text primarily because as we come to a time of New Year resolutions, this is a good time to resolve to kind of change our ways. So this is a text from the Talmud, Shabbat 31a, where it says God is going to ask us a series of questions. And it's always good to know the questions before the final exam. And whether you take this literally or theoretically, I think that these questions can help shape us to be better people in the coming year. And the very first question, I think, is a great statement of what our tradition stands for, and that is, were you honest in your business dealings? That's probably not the first thing we would all necessarily think of. So most of us are probably familiar with the Torah's not wanting us to commit fraud, to be careful when we're with weights and scales and measures and the like. And in general, we're strong on consumer rights. We know our rights as consumers, that we should think things shouldn't be misrepresented. But I'll share with you an example of consumer obligations, which really can be life-changing. The Talmud teaches us that we're not to ask a storekeeper the price of an item if we have no intention of buying it. We're allowed to comparison shop, but we're not allowed to go to a store, use the storekeeper or the salesperson's time knowing we're going to buy it less expensively online, because we will have done two things wrong. First of all, we have stolen his or her time, and that's verboten in our tradition. And the other thing is that we will have raised a person's hopes for no reason. And that really is a very life-changing law, because it tells us, be careful when you walk into a store. It raises the level of sensitivity to a very thoughtful way. I'm curious, Rabbi Yoshi, if you have a take on that.
I love that, David. And I think it reminds us, first of all, of how this worldly Judaism is. It focuses on tachlis, the everyday practicalities of the lives that we live. And to imagine that when you come before God, that will be the first question that God asks, tells us how important it is that we conduct ourselves faithfully. I also love that you talked about, not just consumer rights, but consumer obligations, that we have obligations when we're out there. And that's part of conducting business too. It's not just about being the store owner. It's also about being a good customer, as it were. And finally, I think it's a great example of what the Talmud calls a kal vachomer argument, an all the more so argument. If we're supposed to be this careful with the time of the owner of the store, imagine how careful we're supposed to be in every other thing that we do in our lives. And boy, we think about the way that we might sometimes waste our own time, but wasting other people's time, that itself is something we really need to avoid. And it's part of how we'll be judged by God. I really love that. So thank you. I'd love to hear of the remaining questions that Rava imagines that God might ask us when we come before God someday. You chose another one. What was the other question, and why did you choose it?
Well, the second question is, did you set aside a fixed time to study Torah? And this is a statement both of the importance of Torah study for our own sake and also for the sake of making a better world. Because if you study regularly, there's a good chance you'll very likely discover insights into our tradition that you may not have been aware of. So, for example, if you study the laws of speech, where you would learn what's appropriate to say or not to say. And let me go to the third question and turn it to you, Rabbi Yoshi, and hear your thoughts on it. The third is, did you engage in procreation? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I'm in favor of it for all sorts of reasons. But what I think is important about the question is that you don't have to take it literally only to refer to bringing children into the world, because I think that is what the rabbis intended. But I think if we imagine it a little more broadly, first of all, you can build a family through adoption, through fostering children. But I think they also mean procreation in the sense of creation itself. The Torah reminds us at the very beginning that we are created in God's image. And one way that's often understood is that just as God is a creator, God's first act in our story is to bring the world into being. And so to be created in God's image is to try to be a force for creativity in the world, whether it's through music or art or poetry, in the way that we live our lives. Maybe we're entrepreneurs who are out there building businesses. There's all sorts of ways to do that. And I will say, just as I think back over this time since last March, when we've all had to learn how to be in the world in a very different way than we ever have before, the creativity that I've seen, certainly at Stephen Wise Temple, in the ways that we've tried to bring services to people week after week, even a moment like this. I mean, here we are, David, having this conversation. It's a real conversation. It's not virtual, but we're not in the same room together, and we're going to figure out a way to edit it all together and make it coherent. There's an extraordinary amount of creativity that goes into that. So I love that. The thing I love about this text, and I want to thank you for bringing it to us, is that by imagining what it is that God would ask of us at that moment, we're really asking the question, what are the most important lessons for how we should live our lives today? And it's such an appropriate time, as you suggest, for us to be thinking about that at the end of this challenging year, as 2020 comes to a close, and we think about the new year to come. We think about the kinds of people that we know we should be and ought to be. Rabbi David, any final words on this topic for this Shabbat?
The fourth question I'll leave you with. The fourth question is, did you hope for salvation? In other words, it's a mitzvah to have hope. And picking up, Rabbi Yoshi, on what you said about this current time and about people's creativity, and I very much love what you said about the third question, about procreation and creativity. And here too, the idea that we should have hope. We are a hopeful people, and this is from a people who've not always had it so easy. We bring the world hope. That it's a mitzvah to have hope is a beautiful way not only to live through Shabbat, but to enter a secular new world.
Thank you, Rabbi Woznicka. Shabbat Shalom to everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho be'ava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, ki avanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'beratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. נאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד.
The Israeli poet Shaul Chernikovsky wrote these words, adapted from a translation by Maurice Samuels. Sachaki, Sachaki al ha-chalomot. Laugh, laugh at all my dreams, my dearest. Laugh, and I repeat anew that I still believe in people as I still believe in you. For my soul is not yet sold to the golden calf of scorn, for I still believe in people and the spirit in us born. Laugh, for I believe in friendship. I believe we'll find a way for my heart's hope to be one with yours in feeling gladness, in easing pain. As we turn to the words of Mourner's Kaddish, we remember those who laughed not at our dreams but with us, who held our hands and helped us continue to find that joy and the spirit in us born. If you're remembering someone tonight, we invite you to share their name in the chat so that we can remember along with you. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, B'alma divrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chaye echon uvyom echon, U'v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, B'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach, Le'olam olamei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekud sha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to those of you who are mourning, and comfort to all who are bereaved, as together we say, Amen.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks to our clergy and entire staff for making these services possible. A reminder that tomorrow morning Torah studies at 9 a.m., Shabbat morning services at 10, Havdalah at 7:30 p.m. If you haven't had a chance to see Lit Chanukah, it's not too late. We've extended to the end of the year because so many people wanted to come see it. Just go to litchanukah.com and you can come hear the music, see the beautiful lights, and be inspired by the story of the broken candle. Our closing song, Any Dream Will Do, reminds us once again that part of our job as Jews is to imagine what the world could be and to think about what we might do to make that real. Shabbat Shalom.
I closed my eyes, drew back the curtain to see for certain what I thought I knew. Far, far away, someone was weeping, but the world was sleeping. Any dream will do.
crash of drums, a flash of light. My golden coat flew out of sight. The colors faded into darkness. I was left alone. May I return to the beginning. The light is dimming, and the dream is too. The world and I, we are still waiting, still